So I would like to introduce one of the original OGs from the FinOps Foundation, Steph Gooch from AWS.
Thank you. As we move into a world where AI is going to be building out more and more of our infrastructure, how do we make sure it keeps cost in mind? In my session, we're going to be looking at Amazon Kiro and how we can use it to build and start and continue to be cost optimized. My name is Steph Gooch. I'm a senior SA advocate at AWS. I'm also the host of a couple of live streams. Some people might know me from the keys to AWS optimization and how to build with AWS. I'll make sure you get a link at the end for those. Hands up, who has heard of Kiro before? Okay, keep it raised if you've used it. Still quite a lot. I'm happy with the turnout. Hopefully by the end of today, you guys will be inspired to go and use this service. So what it is an AI-powered IDE, code assistant, that allows you to look at your entire code base, to have conversations, to create with it. Now, when you hear Kiro, there's actually two different things. There is the IDE that we're going to look at today, but there's also the CLI. This is something where you can vibe code, you can ask questions with Kiro about your Amazon account. That is a separate thing. We're going to be talking about just the IDE today because we're talking about more spec-driven development. What we're going to do is we're going to first of all look at something that you have in Kiro that encompasses a bunch of other services, and that is called Kiro Powers. Now, these were launched at reInvent last year, and I don't think enough people have utilized them. They bundle together a bunch of really useful capabilities, so you only have to install one thing. For us, as FinOps practitioners, this is great because there's a cost optimization one you can have a look at. There's a bunch of other ones that you can explore, and you can also create your own power. So what does this cost optimization one do? Well, it hopefully helps us to catch expensive configurations before we deploy, to compare instance families, look at Graviton, and also do things like create reports, which I know none of us really want to be doing. In today's session, I'm going to break down 3 components of what is in a power so that you can understand them individually and how they work holistically, and then we've got a lovely little demo at the end. So let's get started with these 3 things. So the first one, we have steering files. These are files that you give information to Kiro about your projects, your development cycle, so it can understand more about what you're working on. We have MCPs, who many of you probably have heard of, but this allows you to connect to capabilities and tools outside of your kind of IDE. And then we have hooks, automation, one of my favorite words. And so what we're going to do is dive into each one of these, and so that you can learn how to use them individually, or like I said, in the power. So starting off with steering documents. So this is markdown files that allow you to describe what you're working on. This can be about your projects, about how you develop, about FinOps, about security, about anything you want. I have a friend who writes about people, so he can ask Kiro questions about his colleagues. But the good thing is that it's consistent, so you don't have to have a constant back and forth with Kiro. For example, if I ask Kiro, hey, can you make me a Lambda function? Kiro goes, here you go. And then I go back, but Kiro, you didn't use Graviton. So it goes back, here you go. Oh, wait, you didn't have it using a CloudWatch group, which has retention policy, and then back it goes again. What a waste of time. You don't need to be having this back and forth with tools like Kiro. So use steering files to tell it what you want from the start. And it doesn't have to stop at cost. We can have best practices, like I said, for security, or even how you like to deploy. What I've also put at the bottom is this global file that you can have in your laptop. What I encourage is for you, your developers, to have company steering files of how you guys like to work, your best practices, that everyone has in that global folder, so you don't even need to think about it. And in the demo, I'll give some examples of what these will look like. But moving on to the next one, MCPs. So model context protocols, you probably have all heard of these things, just a way for you to connect to other data sets and tools. In the cost power, we have 3 that we use. They are going to be the billing cost management one, which you probably have heard of, but this one allows you to connect to those amazing tools like Cost Explorer, Compute Optimizer, or Cost Optimization Hub. When you ask a question to Kiro, how much did I spend last month, it will now be able to know to go to Cost Explorer specifically to find that information. So we've done some markdown files, we've got project information, we've also got kind of connection to tools. Automation is the big one. So hooks are a trigger that fire when you do something in Kiro. And there's a few different options for that as well. So the idea is that it takes a one-off conversation with Kiro and makes it automatic, turns it into a workflow. So for example, on this one, I say every time I save a file in my optimization folder, a YAML file, I want you to check the steering document we talked about earlier, and I want you to have a look and say, can I save money on this? What we're going to do is I'm going to do a demo in a sec, and I'm going to showcase where this power is. I'm going to have a little look at what those individual things look like in the IDE, and also how a developer might look at it. So if my tech person can roll the video, hopefully. There we go. So I start off in my Power, and I go straight into my MCPs. So you can see the billing and cost management one there. I've also connected it to a profile, so when I ask a question about cost, it knows what account I'm looking into. If we then go on to Kiro, I can then have a little look at my hooks. So this is the same one as I showed you earlier, but a nicer UI. So again, you give it a description, you tell it what you want it to do after something has happened, aka a file is saved, and some parameters around it. Again, saving that time, having that constant back and forth. Finally, we'll look at the steering document. Now, none of this will be a surprise for you folks, I'm sure. Using GP3, moving to Graviton, making sure stuff isn't on all the time, but probably conversations that you have all had with your developers. I also have created one that says, hey, use that cost power, because it's amazing. Now, what we're going to do is imagine I'm a developer, and I'm working in my code base, and maybe I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do a naughty change and change my 3 to 2. Because I have a new window open, when I save that file, the hook is going to be activated and say, hang on a second, I'm going to look in these steering files, and I'm going to see, no, Steph, you should not have changed it to GP3. Here's why. And what I hope is that once your developer sees this prompt, it's going to think, well, where else am I using these expensive GP2s? And ask Kiro this question. And because I've set up the power, it knows, I know I can go ask Compute Optimizer for this. So as this loads, it's going to check, OK, can I do that? And it's going to go and grab all of those recommendations from Cost Optimization Hub or Compute Optimizer and produce it in a nice little table. This whole conversation has taken seconds for us to do, but normally you can all remember when you've had conversations with developers back and forth, emailing out this data, kind of encouraging them to do it. It does it in Kiro. Kiro has become a FinOps practitioner for all of you. We're going to go to a couple of call to actions as my time is almost up. Start using AI. Now, hopefully, this is a bit of a broad statement, but as FinOps practitioners, I don't want anyone to be left behind. And there are so many opportunities where we have to make sure that we're getting ahead of the spend that's coming. Tools like Kiro or whatever tools your company are using are going to be building more, going to be building faster. And you need to actively make sure that you are keeping cost in mind with those buildings. So at least have a look at starting with those steering documents and encouraging your developers to have that conversation once, not over and over again. Have a look at the power. You can also make your own powers. So these powers, like I said, are a collection of different products. You're allowed to make your own. The link, I think, is going to be on my QR code at the end. Maybe make one for your business, one for yourself, one that you want to share to the community. But you can build your own with your own specs in mind. And add your own concepts with that. So always think, what am I doing? What conversation have I had more than once with my AI tool? And how can I make sure that I give it that context so it doesn't have to have the same conversation again? With that, I'll give you a QR code which has a bunch of resources on it, as well connections to some live streams that I mentioned at the start. So if you want to learn more about AI, I recommend the first show, which is on Mondays. This is all about dealing with big customers and how they are using services like AI. And if you just want to learn about cost, then check out my Thursday show, Keys to AWS Optimization. Thank you so much, everyone. That's been it.
Hey everyone, producer Andrew here. Thank you so much for watching and for your support. For more FinOps content, go check out our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and leave comments and questions for all of our wonderful speakers. We appreciate your support.